Welcome everybody to USL Season 21 Week 6 preview. Final week of the season. Some really good matchups coming up. This is Bad, your favorite announcer, with Yaya and Eric, aka Rogue. What's up, fellas?
What's up, man?
What's up, man? And that's a little skewed, sir. I am the best announcer. Did you not hear my solo casting until Yosh finally joined me?
I want to just say my prediction for One Love Hellcats is off by like 3. So
Yeah.
give me that crystal ball.
And it's
I forgot
Okay,
how to
split
it. Okay, so let's just dive. We got a full plate for you guys today. We got some predictions for this week. Talking about playoff seeding a little bit. We got some award predictions, and then special edition mailbag. Some anonymous listeners sent us some emails and wanted us to talk about a few situations that went down last week and maybe for the future of USL. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Let's get the easy ones out of the way. Thugs versus Hellcats on KR. Any thoughts about that? I mean,
it's open. We're gonna be running the usual lineup. Get some subs in at 15. It's gonna be by 100 kills. I mean, they've shown a consistent lineup, which is good for them. Playing the same people, getting a feel for Renal's leadership and what he wants to do. I listened a little bit just because Octavian said in spec chat that Bax was giving them spec info versus you guys, or not you guys, One Love. Sorry. So I hopped in there and I was listening, and Renal was actually doing a good job in trying to teach these guys and tell them what they should be doing. So that bodes well for the future. So as they continue and play with that same lineup that they've had, they're going to get better slowly but surely. But I still see us winning this by at least 100.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same boat. One of the things that I did see, though, I watched last week's match versus Dave and them. They were pretty close up until the 15-minute mark, and then they just fell apart. Like, it was like within, I think it was like 2 battles or something like that for a while. So there's some improvement going on, and just keep doing what you guys are doing.
agreed. Yeah, I think probably about 100, maybe 100 plus. I think you guys probably end up 120, 130 area, and they're 20 to 30. Because it is KR, so you guys are going to be at their base a lot. If they get Collie, I think it's actually easier to base rape when you have Titan, just because Collie has a spaceship that's pretty open, whereas Titan's like rocks and buildings and everything. So if they get Collie, I think you guys probably get to 150, or pretty close to it. If they get Titan, I think it's probably going to be more like 115, 120, somewhere in there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and one more thing about them, we're gonna do their next match next, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, agreed about Septicemia. They do have some players that have potential to move on to more mid-tier squads. I'm thinking like Lunatic, pretty decent LMG, but he also thinks, you can tell he's kind of thinking about the game, which doesn't always happen with players on bottom squads. Trax, a little too aggressive, but kind of has the mind for the game. And then shout out to Ryan B for getting kills last week. Joker's still stuck at 1 though, unfortunately.
Oof.
Called
Next
it.
up, we did call it. Next up, we have Dead Weight versus Hellcats. I'll just start out with this one. I think we win pretty close to 100 as well. We do a good job in playing Hellcats and keeping deaths really low. Like I think we had 11 versus them the first week, and this is KR, so I think it's going to be pretty similar. I think we're 100 to 120. They're 10 to 20, somewhere in there. Spreading out playtime, so you'll see some people get in. DP might go 15-0 again. We'll see. He'd be 30-3 on the season, greatest statistical season of all time, maybe. Other than that, yeah, we'll spread out some playtime. The one thing I did want to hit, I know on your commentary last week, why Sabotage didn't play. You guys were right. He showed up like 2 minutes before the game after I had already put the lineup in. And didn't SB with us against you guys right before, so I figured I'd just put Brill in. And then I was thinking about subbing him, if the Nader wasn't working or Brill wasn't having a good game, was subbing him. But Brill was like 11-0 at 15, and Tier had like 5 or 6 mortar kills at 15, so I figured I would just stay with the lineup that was working.
Yeah, Brilhart played very well last week, as did Tyrael.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's get into the next game. Which one do we want to start with? Let's start with the other squads. FUP at One Love. When do you guys want to take it first?
Yeah, so this is super important for FUP. Pretty much they have to win both of these matches, I think, in order to get, I think, what is it, third? Or maybe even second, depending on how things work.
Yeah, second, if they win both.
Yeah, so that's super important for them. They're kind of, that mid-season or that end-of-season slump is here, though. They haven't been showing anything. Like, as far as active as they are, they really have some things they need to figure out this week. Right? They're on KR, which is a good map for them, provided they get Kali. And Dave kind of took it rough last week, too. Could that be due to Season of Discovery? It just came out a little bit ago. I know them guys have been grinding pretty hard, and they really haven't been putting any time into infantry. So, which, is whatever. But this should be a pretty close match, and it kind of depends on who gets the map and what side you get and everything like that, and who shows. Is Soul going to show? Is Kaga going to show? Is Pandy going to be there? All these questions for One Love coming in, that we don't have the answers to. FUP, they're kind of stable. Who's going to bench for Shas? Yeah, big question for FUP is,
we'll address that later, I think, in the middle.
Yeah. So, as far as score goes, this is going to be pretty hard to predict, actually. A lot of it's just going to come down on who gets Kali. So, I'm going to say Bax wins the coin toss again, and FUP wins by 5. I'm going to say it's going to be like 45-40.
Okay. So I want to touch a little bit on Dave playing AT. AT is not going to be it on this map against the other playoff squads. You need to be Marine. I know he got stubborn against us last week, and it did not work out well for him. I think he got stubborn because he saw Sov still going off on it. But it just didn't work out. Dave needs to go Marine. I know that's a little bit of a downsize in his play because AT is obviously a little bit tankier, but KR is so open. There's so much space. You are not going to be effective unless you're doing some wild flanks, which he does not do as an AT. There is a lot of questions surrounding FUP as well. I think One Love actually bounces back. I think Jeff and Kaga care about winning more so than everybody else on that squad, honestly. And I think that competitive nature is going to be that little bit of push that they need. And since they're not raiding tonight, we might see them on for an SB or two to shake off some rust. So they might be on to play and get back into the swing of things. Meanwhile, FUP is, like Josh said, hitting this mid to late season slump. You've got players like Bax blaming medics for dying. I understand dying to a mortar. That's kind of is what it is, right? It's just going to one tap you if you get hit. Not a whole lot you can do if you're all grouped up and it just locks into the medic like it did the Flash and Fresh a few times in last week's matches. I think the biggest issue with them is that you have essentially 4 aggressive players and 4 passive players. I said this in spec chat on Discord, and they're split amongst the group. So they're not 4 aggressive players on one team and 4 passive players on the other team. It's mixed up, and it causes confusion for the medics on who they have to follow. You have Bax, who was 1-6 as a Ripper, shooting 3 cords away, eating up bullets that the meds have to stop playing with the aggressors and go back and heal him, which then puts the aggressors in a vulnerable position. I know Josh said this, I think it was last week. Always follow the aggressive players because they are going to be the ones that kind of break things open for you and win the battle, right? So FUP needs to figure that out. It is hard to change people's play style when they've played a certain way for so long, especially still going into the season, they've played the same way. So to essentially 180 that, it's going to take some time. And you would think playing against Hellcats every night, you would be a little bit more aggressive against other teams, but it doesn't pay off apparently. So I see One Love winning this about 50-45.
Yeah, I think
And they
those are
get
all
Kali.
pretty, I think those are all pretty accurate. I think Yosh is onto something. I think whoever gets Kali might win. I still give if FUP gets Kali, I think they have a better chance to win. I think it would be a lot closer, but I still think One Love takes it no matter what. And if One Love gets Kali, I think it's a couple battle game. I think you hit all the right points on FUP about blaming everybody. You kind of saw this with K's crew last year too. You had a few people like Dave and Jeff who were ready to go. They weren't really interested in the squad anymore, even though they played in the final game. But you knew they were going to leave the next season after. And I know we talked about it before with the split and Iceman drama, but is that really what broke the squad? I mean, is it just a coincidence that after all that happened, they've kind of looked a lot worse? I mean, they beat us earlier in the season, then they lost to us by 40 with essentially the same lineup, and we had an 8er in. I know different maps and everything, but I have a hard time believing that didn't play some part in this mid-season downfall or late season downfall for FUP.
Yeah, I mean, it could have definitely impacted their what they want to call teamwork, right? All of a sudden, you don't trust your medics to heal you and be with you. That's going to affect how aggressive you're going to want to play. So I can definitely see, and that's in regards to Splitta and Iceman, right? But then the clicks that follow each one of them are going to think the same way as that player, right? So it's a lot of shit that they need to sort through, and clearly they haven't fixed it yet.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And accountability issues on that squad too. Like, you hear Bax yelling at medics. That's all the reports, at least, that he was just yelling at medics the whole time. And he's trying to get healed 2 cords away. Marines pushing in, and then you have other people just not listening to leaders. You're right, half forward, half back. It's just kind of a mess right now. And then not having ER to kind of be the glue guy, good Marine pushed in, was brutal for them last week. So if ER doesn't show this week, I don't think they have a chance. If ER does show and they get Kali, I give them, a 41% chance of winning.
Yeah, a lot of it can come down to what Bax decides to do as well. Is he going to play Marine? Is he going to play Ripper? Which do you think is best for this team?
He needs to play Marine.
Yeah. Even though he's a better Ripper than Marine, Ripper's really hard to play against playoff squads, like you guys said, but especially if you're not a great Ripper. There's a few Rippers in the history of Infantry that could play Ripper and USL and be effective against a good team. And Bax isn't one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, that distinguished goes to probably Armor, Axel, the old school players.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Who
like,
only played Ripper, that was their class. It wasn't a Marine playing Ripper.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But prediction wise, I say One Love, 62, FUP 38.
All right.
And we'll touch on some more things in the mailbag with that lineup as well. Next, we have FUP versus Thugs. I'll start that out since you guys are both playing. I think you guys win either way, but I do think score matters on side. I do think that Collective has a lot more advantages, and I wish the map was more even. But with this new map and playing it again, I do think I was kind of overstating that. I don't think it's as big of a deal as I thought. Still a big deal, just not as big. But I think if you guys get Kali, you guys run away with it. I think if you guys get Titan, you still win by a decent margin, just not as easily. You'll have to, make the right calls at the right times to really spread the lead. I think if you guys get Collie, you win by probably 40 or 50, maybe 60. If you get Titan, you probably win by like 25 to 40, somewhere in there. Just because, they're going to camp under the rocks. If they play you last time, like they did last time, they're just going to camp South Rocks, camp Spaceship. Kind of hard to break, top KR or something like that. As far as lineups go, if ER shows and Shasta shows, maybe they bench backs. I don't know. They keep preaching best 8. Kevin's going to play the best 8, but can you honestly say Bax is in the best 8 anymore with Shasta and ER there? I don't think so, but we'll see what happens with that. And then as far as you guys, hopefully at least Nos or Champ shows, one of the two would help you greatly and definitely, I think, solidify the win. But that being said, I think Pister and Rev played it overall. They both played pretty decently last week. Pister had some really nice laws. He played really well early. Revenge was out of position like once or twice, but I think he held his chokes really well. So I think that was a bright spot for you guys. So you can really probably trust Pister and Revenge versus FUP. So I think that was the silver lining for last week. Other than that, I think you guys probably play the same lineup. Depends on who shows, and then FUP, we don't know. What do you guys feel about the match?
Go ahead, Eric.
All right. Well, I think the final boss and Nas both show to this. I think with them in the game, we will straight run over them. I don't care if they're going to be camping south if they get Kali. We have the better Marines. We want to talk about Marines. We have the better Marines. We will be able to break whatever camp they have if we're running 6 Marines, 2 meds, which could be a very big possibility on KR, especially against these guys who want to talk shit. If they camp Titan, I mean, that's a little bit more annoying because they do have like those buildings, those rocks and everything. It's a little bit harder to do. I actually think if they're going to camp and they get Kali, it's easier to break because we can go far left around the base and break that spaceship camp or even the South Mesa camp. So there's multiple ways we can go about it. I do see them playing the exact same way they did on Apollo's map, but again, because KR is so open, we'll be able to break it better. So I do want to touch on Rev and Pister playing well, though. Rev popped off. He may or may not have been out of position once or twice, but I think it was the right call to play Marine with them last week and kind of be with them, because if me and Iso or me, Iso and Josh are all pushing, it kind of forces them to move and kind of shut off their brain a little bit and not overthink things and follow through with us. Whereas if I'm AT, I'm strictly doing the whole solo thing and I can't really, I'll call for a push, but it's not forcing them to move. And FUP, their best 8, you bench backs 100%, but it's not going to happen because Kevin and Bax are so tight. I think, Shasta and Raver need to be in, Split needs to be in, SV needs to be in, Flash and Fresh, your medics, and then go from there.
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin. So, I mean, that's 7. Who am I missing?
Apollo, Uni, Bax. You got to choose from one of the 3.
Apollo.
Yep.
Even though Apollo's resolution is like fucking 1280 by 1020 or whatever the hell it was. But I see us winning by like 60. I think it's going to be 80 to 20, somewhere around that range.
Okay. So I'm going to go the other way on this. I think they do camp versus them. I'd rather have Titan. It's a lot easier to break camp from the Titan side. Plus, when you get momentum, you can kind of contain them and then force them to fight us. Right? That's kind of what we want to do, is we want them to fight us. If we can get that accomplished, then, the score can get out of hand pretty quick. We've seen that in the last couple SBs for the during the week. We've really been able to control the pace of the game and not let them do whatever it is they want to do. Hide on box and, stuff like that. As far as lineups for FUP goes, I kind of disagree with it. I think Bax has to be in this game because I think he is one of their better players. I think You keep Apollo in. Uni's got to sit. He's not been playing very well. Obviously, SV, Shasta, ER. And the person that I would pick from the medic department to sit would be Iceman. I think Apollo is a better medic than Iceman. And that's the direction you go. Right? Plus, with the whole thing with Splitta and everything like that, there still might be some mistrust in that. So that's the route that I would personally. Even and he's more fresh and everything, but I just think Apollo gives you a better chance to win in that situation. And I think benching backs is not good for that squad. He's one of their better players, to be honest. Like, he's not, SV, Shas, ER level, but I think he's up there. And I think they need him to play good. I think he has to play Marine, and he has to be able to hold a choke. Now, can he do that? I don't know. That's the big question. He talks all the time about, how all of us are bad and, we don't want to duel and all this other stuff, but dueling doesn't mean shit in this game. It never has. Right? So that's the big thing that he needs to fix in his own mentality, is understand individual skill, it matters, but how you're able to look at the overall game, and that's gonna be able to break more battles open than being a Ripper staying 4 chords back. If you want to be a Star Marine, now's the time to do it. Because they need somebody to step up on that team. So as far as score goes, I don't know. I could see if we do have Chris and Nos and everybody shows up, then we'll probably run away with this game by at least 30, 40 kills. Right? It doesn't matter what they do at that point. We're just gonna fight them the entire time. I'll go look for them. So probably end up score will be something like 65, 25, 35, something right around there.
All right. I'm glad you touched on the whole dueling mentality, because I said it to him in game last night when we were scrimming. That whole misconception of being a great dueler means you're a great player. I completely agree with you. Just because you know how to aim doesn't mean you know how to position in an actual fight. And it's been clearly evident, at least by his play, of course, as Ripper and Sniper, right? Because he has 4 chords back. But even playing as Marine, when he was doing those pushes on those garbage time kills in the tunnel, he was pushing up against physics and got lawed and then focused out. Just little things like that is just kind of, come on, man. You've been playing the game almost as long as us. Should know better.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's all we have for the actual match predictions. To touch on the standings one more time, if FUP wins both, they get second. If they win one, I believe they get third. If they win 0, they get fourth. So really, their fate is in their own hands and going into this weekend. So
now, because you say that, does the pressure get to them and make them crumble even more?
Oof.
Mm-hmm. Are they going to be listening to this and their palms are going to get sweaty, knees weak?
Knees weak, arms are heavy.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. If you know you can get second if you win both, or if you lose the first one, and you can get third if you win it. Yeah, I don't know. That would motivate me personally, but
absolutely. Because I mean, with the seedings in playoffs, it's not about coin flip for round 1. It's highest seed gets choice. So you need the better seed, clear as day. Because if not, what's the point of seedings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want that second or at least third seed.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's going to come down to how FUP starts versus One Love. I think that's the most important match of their season.
Yep. Agreed.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next portion of the show. A little bit of award talk.
Ooh.
Yosh and I here are part of the Shadow Council that's going to decide the awards this season.
Hey.
I mean, the award committee that's gonna decide the awards this season. And Eric's always lurking there as the deputy admin, for all that. So I've been kind of nerding it out with some stat sheets here, talking about support award was a big conversation so far, because in the past we've kind of just given it to support players some seasons, like Backs last year, and other years we give it to TG twice for just being a good overall support Marine. So that was in contention. So we're starting to look at assist points and your assist point percentages, and an assist point is, for any of you who don't know, if you shoot a guy. So if I shoot Yosh and then Eric kills him, Eric gets the kill, but I get assist points for it, depending on how much damage I do. They're a little wonky, but that's the general idea. So when we look at assist points for a support ward, we're thinking, hey, this guy might not have the number 1 kills, but he's contributing so much because his assist points are so high, but he's just not getting the kills. You have people like Ernie or Iso or Nas who are really good at getting that last 2-3 bullets in them, and so they're a little bit lower in assist points, but they have a higher kill. So support award in my mind, and it seems like the consensus so far, is to award those people who basically get their kills stolen a lot, but still do a ton of damage. Like if there was a damage counter in infantry, they would have high damage, but still the same amount of kills. So if you want to start with that, why can't I share the screen? Hold on. Share it for you. Share. The way I was looking at was assist percentage. So the amount of your assist points of your team. And then I had 3 rankings. So there's that, and then your peak game percentage, like what was your best support game, and then your average game, which is different than your percentage. So when I'm looking at all those, and then I kind of rank you, 1 through 8 I have right now, but TG, and no surprise, is at the top of that. Would that shock you guys at all if TG won the support award?
No.
No.
It is currently named after him, by the way, on the USL site. Not a coincidence. This isn't even Shadow Council business. He might win his 3rd this year.
And he would deserve it.
Yep. Other people in here that probably won't support you guys. Eric is actually really high in the listing, and he's really high in the kills too. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Eric's number 2 right now with a game to go, so it might go down depending. Myself number 3. Then we got Split, Danny, Dave, and then Ernie as the top 7 right now. I don't think any of those shock you guys. Kind of rotates on the season, right? Some seasons you're just the killer. You get all the kills. Some season you get all the assists. So it's not surprising to see a lot of people in there who, and kind of in that middle pack too, like TG, Split, Danny, Dave, who people don't see as the absolute top tier Marines, but they're amazing Marines still. They're still really, really good. They just don't get all the kills. So in people's head, they think, oh, he's not that good because he doesn't get kills. But when you look at the assist points, like, yeah, but he's doing so much damage. So I think all of those guys kind of fall into that as well. Very underrated Marines because you don't think of them because of the kills. So that's the support award. Did you guys have any comments of that, or should we move on to the
No, I'm good
next?
with that one.
We're good.
Medic award, looking like Iron again. I don't think it's a surprise because everybody knows Iron's the best medic in the game. And he plays like it too. Obviously playing on the top squad helps too, but I honestly think Iron could put up the same numbers on Hellcats. I mean, he's impossible to kill. His heal numbers are insane. If we look at his healing, hold on, let me look. So Iron's currently number 3 with 22872, but he has 1 less game than the people on top of him who are like a couple hundred ahead of him. So he should finish number 1 in the rankings there for healing. And healing, I don't think when people are voting med awards, they really care about healing too much, but it's nice to know to basically confirm what your thoughts are when you look at that and you say, oh, well, Iron also has the most healing. How could he not win the most award? And he has a positive ratio. He's 26 and 18. Getting kills as med, is kind of the extra layer above. But I think CC's having a good season. He's had a few unfortunate deaths throughout the season, but I think he's really turned it around, had a really good season. I think Staley's having a good season now. I think Tyson's having a good season when he can heal. Which is, Apparently the lag has affected him some. I
50-50 at this point for him, I think.
Look, honestly, you see him just die sometimes, and with his energy, and his energy looks like it went down, but his health didn't go up.
Hmm.
And then Fax, I think Fax has died too many times this season in opening battles to be considered for the meta award. You know, you have people like Eric yelling at him during matches, so I don't know if he can win.
No, come on now.
But yeah, no, I think Iron. I think my vote would be for Iron this season, unless something catastrophic happens this weekend and Iron dies first, like every battle or something, which I don't see happening. You guys have any thoughts on the meta award? I know he's on your team, but you can still.
Yeah, I think should either go to Iron or Fax, one of the two.
Yeah, honestly, I think we do have the two best medics in the game, so either one of them wins it. But my vote would definitely go to Iron. But I don't have a vote this season, so
True. Then the discussion about Cave Beast came up today. I think we made a lot of leeway. In the past, it was kind of undefined what Cave Beast was. We kind of always, in our minds, thought, hey, new player, never played before, is having a decent season. But I think, and it seems like a lot of us were in agreement on this today, that we're going to move Cave Beast more towards the best player on a shit squad, essentially. So this season, you know, we're looking at it, and as of right now, I think he's the quite obvious choice. We're looking at Septicemia, aka Renal, aka Rapier's cousin, question mark. Because he's having actually a pretty decent season on Hellcats. I mean, the guy's 30 and 56. Nobody on that squad is anywhere near him in kills, and they're all way above him in deaths. And he's leading, which is hard. His leading is getting better each week, I think. He kind of expects a lot for people who haven't really played together. But I think his leading is huge too. Kind of reminds me of you know, AYB back in the day before Yosh made him quit Infantry. With, like, you know, kind of a newer player. I know he's played before, but maybe not. Who knows? But never really led before that I know of, and now he's just leading and he's doing some interesting plays. At least he's not running down mid. You know, I don't think he has the most interesting plays, but he's at least not running down mid like when you see him not in what Hellcats does.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. He's the best performer on that team by far. And I look forward to seeing what he's able to do next season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think next season will be a complete turnaround for him. I think he gets, like I said, I think it was last week. He takes a select few from that core with him that actually want to play the game and learn and listen to what he's saying, and kind of turns that squad around a little bit, makes them more competitive.
Or does he get poached?
He could get poached.
So,
By who?
That's a good question. Would you guys consider bringing him in? I know. Does he want to lead? Is the question. You know.
I mean, we've played with everybody, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, we've played with, you know, Heavy RR and 3K Werewolf and like all these
Cobra Raider, the god.
Cobra Raider, the god.
The
You know, so we'll give anybody a chance if they want to come and play.
I could see him joining like a Kevin squad too. Whatever happens with Kevin next season too. I know Kevin leads a lot, but it doesn't seem like he always wants to lead. So having somebody like him, it'd be interesting to see what kind of stuff they did with him. Or, you know, does he join Dave and lead the Wowers to glory?
Ooh.
Or would there be too much talking on that squad already? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I think those are all good things about qualifying him for Cave Beast. So, and I think going forward, that's kind of the way we're going to look at it. Who's the most impactful player on one of the bottom squad? You know, whether it's the worst squad or the next. You know, this season's a little bit different with 5, so it's a little wonky. But you know, the bottom tier squads, I'll say.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we get into MVP and deadliest, no, you know what? Let's just jump into MVP and deadliest. So I created a ranking for this as well. That's pretty interesting. Basically, it takes your assist percentage. So, you know, how much damage are you doing and the kills that you don't get. your kill participation. So how much of the total team's kills are you participating in? And kind of added that together and kind of gave it a ranking. And then I have another one too that will kind of, I think, go on the MVP side as well. It would be less deaths. So deaths would have a negative impact on that number, giving you a second number. Kind of a lot of words, but let me just break it down here. So right now in the rankings, which I'm calling the mecha score. I have Eric's actually number 1 right now. He's getting a lot of the percentage kills for Lowlife Thugs, but he's also the number 2 in assist rankings in the league right now. So he's kind of doing everything. And I know it's kind of awkward to say all this stuff with Eric on the call, but that's what's happening according to my numbers. And then if you take deaths out, he's actually number 2. So he's killing at the most efficient rate, or doing damage, I should say, at the most efficient rate. He's supporting at the second highest rate, and then he's also just not dying as much as other players are. And then, not surprising probably to anybody at all, Ernie ranks number 2 in the kills plus assists, and then number 1 in minus deaths. So the question really becomes, I think, at that point, and Dave actually isn't too far behind either. Dave, myself, TG, and Nos are all kind of in that area. Nos probably won't qualify with games played, but and I doubt I'm not going to pass any of you guys. TG's not going to. Dave has a chance if he has a really big game, but probably not. But then you have Kevin with a kind of a surprising. He's number 8. ER's right there. Sov's right there. Jeff, ESO, Split, Typhoon. So you're probably not surprised by any of that. But I think the way I look at it this season, for me, it's going to come down to Eric's last game here too. So I think the deadliest is going to be between Eric and Ernie, and MVP honestly might go to Eric as well. So before we talk to Eric, Yosh, do you have any thoughts about any of that?
Yeah, so deadliest is that's all fine. The real discussion for me is going to be MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best player in the whole league is Iron. I think at least for me, I'm going to be voting for him for MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the best player, hands down. Like, if we didn't have Iron on our squad, we would be hurting because no other Marine or no other medic do what he does, at least for us. So that's where my vote's gonna go.
Yeah, he was in my mind too. If we're not just looking at kills, which I think is more towards deadliest. It's kind of why I wanted to split them up. Like, I think the kills and the assists and all that is more deadliest, but yeah, that obviously weighs in. But when you look at who is the best player, I think on the best team, I think it's Iron. I mean, I think that there's no question that Iron's the best medic in the league. Whereas all the Marines that are in the conversation, it's kind of like, who's the best Marine that week? I think there's a group of 4, 5, 6, 7 guys at the top, and it's like it kind of depends on the day, the map, But with meds, I think it's just Iron. So I completely understand that vote for MVP. Like, if you guys are playing with a lesser medic, are you able to get away with playing Pister and Revenge at the same time versus One Love? Maybe not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. Without Iron, I wouldn't put up the numbers that I put up. Sov wouldn't put up the numbers he puts up. Like, we wouldn't be able to interchange who gets most kills each week because our medic wouldn't be as consistent as Iron is. So I wholeheartedly support any vote towards Iron as an MVP.
And it's funny too because TG had never really played with Iron too much before, and Iron's NT'd for the few scrims that we've had this year a couple times, or like he'll NT for Thugs, and then same with Ernie, and we talked about it after the game, like, holy shit, Iron's fucking good. Like, because and when I was on the squad last season and the past couple seasons, there were so many times you're absolutely right, I should have died and I just didn't. And I think getting a med in the MVP conversation is like adding, like, Christian McCaffrey should have won MVP this year in the NFL, right? If that's the way I look at it. But it's never going to happen because he's not a quarterback. So I don't mind at all the thinking that Med should be able to win MVP, with Marine being the quarterback in that analogy.
Yeah. I mean, the other
So,
thing too, my question is like this is why MVP is so convoluted, right? Because Sov's also in the discussion. I mean,
Yeah.
he's putting up kills and everything like that, but he's
Mhm.
just like Iron's the best medic in the league, Sov's the best leader in the league. I mean, obviously we saw last season me leading running it down versus K's crew too. And then Sov comes in and we just play completely different, right? So it's hard. This is why I wanted to get the committee in play, is to try and get some ground settings for some of these awards that really take a lot into consideration, such as, like you said, MVP, even deadliest. Whereas, you know, staff awards pretty easy to kind of go through. Same with medic, really. You just kind of look at their numbers and everything like that. But MVP and is really hard to try and figure out.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. MVP has always been very interesting to me. I think, the only reason, I'm not the only reason, but the big reason Sav wins last season is because, he doesn't show up last week. We run it down mid and get stomped by Gaze Crew. So it's like, oh, well, without Sav, he's clearly their most valuable player, but, and I think he should be in the conversation as well. But yeah, I think Iron might have a groundswell for the award season here.
Yeah, and like we've all said, I think we all support that vote.
Yeah.
And then deadliest, it's going to be Ernie or Eric. I think it's a 2-horse race at this point. It depends. Ernie only plays Hellcats, so that's not going to be in consideration. It really just depends on what Eric does versus FVP. If Eric absolutely pops off, then he probably wins it. If not, it's going to be a conversation. It's really going to depend on Eric. So Eric, I think the award is in your hands, and I think everybody's kind of thinking that way this season as well. With Ethos stats regressing a little bit, I'm not on the squad. Nos and Champ don't show up. It's kind of just you, right? It's you as the top Marine, the apex predator on that squad right now.
It feels weird, right? Because I am used to playing with Chris all the time, ESO all the time, and I humble brag a lot, and I humble bragged in the little interview that we did post game last week. But again, on certain maps, there's a reason I wanted to play Marine, and the only reason I kept playing AT was because initially my thought process was support award. I feel like winning the support award, so I'm gonna play AT all season.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, right? But if going into the matchup versus FUP the first time, me knowing that it was about assist points, I would have played Marine 100%, and that game's a little bit different because I would have been a little bit more aggressive and not hesitant to push in to that bullshit vision that it is. So it's you're making me blush, buddy. Tell me more about my eyes.
Oh my god. We need to move on. It's grab bag time.
Yeah, with all that said, let's go into the grab bag. Eric, I know you got a few. If you want to start with one of yours.
Sure, let me pull them up real quick.
We're gonna keep the contributors anonymous, right?
Yeah, we're keeping contributors anonymous. So you know what? Let's start with the first one. Who is benching for Shasta?
I mean, I've already said my piece. I think it should be Iceman. That bitch is for Shas.
Nice man.
Okay.
One
Mecca, what do you
of
think?
his oldest friends, Yosh, turns his back on Iceman. I think it's Bax. I don't think. Well, there's two different answers for me. Who it should be, Bax. Who it will be, Apollo or Iceman. I think. Or maybe nobody. I guess is the third option, right?
Yeah.
He joined so late. Do they feel obligated to start Chas? He hasn't been there the whole season. He's been on the squad for a week. Like, I think that's an underrated answer that people haven't really thought about. Like, maybe nobody. Maybe Chas just doesn't start. But then if they lose bad, Bax plays bad, Flash plays bad, somebody like that. Uni plays bad if he's in or something. then the questions start. Like why didn't you start Shas, and then does he start in the playoffs? So, I think it's going to be very interesting. But my vote is going to be Backs.
Yeah. So my biggest thing was because I was reffing the match. Kevin asked for NTs, so that right there tells me Kevin wants to play Shas. And then it took them forever, and obviously it was a little bit of trolling towards Backs that it took him a minute to put Backs in as the 8th, right? I think, and it was an oversight on my part of making Apollo go medic. I think it's a toss-up between Apollo, Iceman, Uni, obviously depending on who shows, whatever the case may be, as to who benches. Does Apollo want to go ahead and med in a match, or does he want to kind of tough it out as a Marine, right? Because you've seen him type a little bit, and you've seen like how they were playing, regardless of everybody else's play around. He was kind of one of the more consistent players in your guys' match. And really the only person listening to Kevin aside from like SV and Split.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to take one of your more consistent Marines, make a medic, and then put in Shasta to bench Iceman, or do you bench Uni and put Shasta in and let Iceman stay medic?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of depends too. Does ER show? Is ER done with the squad? I haven't seen ER in like a couple days, maybe a week, couple weeks. He's on earlier, I think, but like definitely not as much as he was. So, does he care about the squad anymore? If he does, is he going to show? So I think ER is a key part of that question as well. But
okay, yeah, no, absolutely. And kind of following up with that, I guess we'll stick on the FUP train here for a minute. Another question was, for FUP, is it a medic problem or their non-medic that's an issue, or is it both? Because we've seen that Bax is blaming medics. What do you think?
I don't want to cop out, but I think both. I don't think Clap or Iceman are particularly bad medics, but I think they've had a lot of bad deaths this season, including last week. I think especially last week. You can't die to mortars. I know they're overpowered, but they show up on your radar. You see the shadow coming down. You just can't die to them.
Hold on. I'm going to stop you right there for a second. This leads into another question. If mortars are so overpowered, how come we have not seen more naders?
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Probably because I told King not to play nader in a couple matches. Or you would have seen it,
but I mean, yeah. We're not running it. You guys only ran it last week. Obviously, Nuno's been playing it all season for Hellcats. But if it was...
We played nader versus you week 1 as well.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, aside from King, aside from Nuno, we haven't really run it. I think Yosh played it for a little bit in the One Love game the first time. But other than that, like, you don't see Kevin running it. And his squad was the main people complaining that it was overpowered. So if it's so overpowered, what happened?
I think it's a travesty, by the way, that Yosh hasn't played Nader more.
So I think Nader's just too map dependent, right? Mm-hmm. And it's got inherent flaws in it. It's hard to push with the Nader.
Especially the new Nader without bouncing or.
Yeah, I mean, more is great and all, but you only get 2 of them, right? Yeah. And if you're not dying a whole lot, or if your team's pushing, you're behind, like, what are you going to really do? It's just better off to play the real bust class in the game, which is Marine. Right? Like, you get everything as a Marine. You get a law, you get a shotgun. Like, what do you not get? So, I think that's the real question is Nader's not really busted. If it was, we'd be seeing it more.
Do you think if Nader had 10 mortars and like only 10 40s, it'd be balanced and people would play it?
Probably not. I mean, mortar's good, but you still can't push.
Yeah.
Like, that's the real problem with the class. And
need PDW maybe? Bouncing Nader?
Nah, I don't want to see PDW. I think that's just garbage fix. But it needs, I don't know, it's got a lot of weaponry, but it's all close range stuff, which, is the purpose of Nader. And the way the game is played right now, it's more mid to long range fights. So until that kind of gets, maybe it just takes a really good player to play it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So sorry, I kind of derailed that. Going back, Josh, what do you think? Is it the medic problem for FUP? Is it the players that aren't playing medic, or is it a combination?
I think it's just the whole squad in general. I don't think they trust each other, and that leads to every issue. Right? Your medics don't trust your Marines. Your Marines don't want to push because they're not going to get healed. I just think it's a whole combination of everything.
Well, yeah, I'll finish my part too. I said 50-50. I agree. Positioning, like, they didn't exactly. Kevin didn't put them in fresh or flash in position to succeed last night. They were caught in the middle a lot of times. They stayed still, And when you're standing still, guess what happens? You get a mortar dropped on your head, or an Iblazi from behind. You catch an instant nade and die with uni. Like that's what happens when you stay still.
Yep.
So I just don't think the positioning is doing any favors. I just think it's exasperating the fact that they're not playing well already. So it just probably makes, and then it gets in their own head. Man, I've had 3-4 bad deaths now, and then they get nervous, and then they have 3-4 more bads, and it kind of just spirals from there.
Yep. Mecca, you want to go with any of your questions?
Sure. I had a question from Anonymous. There was some thoughts last night that BB was blackout drunk when he was playing. That's how he went 0-11 with 0 points. And the question came up, was BB drunker than DP has ever been?
Ever been.
Ever been is the key there.
Ever been? No.
I think it's an emphatic, absolutely not. That was a DP quote, by the way, the second part. Yeah, I mean, unfortunate BB play. I don't think he was drunk. I think it was just unfortunate, but just a good question I got.
I think what happened is Bird was leading that match, maybe. If he was, then that kind of sums up the way he was playing. Right? Because there was a couple times where he had a medic, like I think somebody said it in the match, that a medic has been stuck on Bird the entire time.
Yeah, well, Stavadine was on him the whole game.
Yeah, so if that's the case, then he was probably leading, and we all know that if you're leading, then your personal play is going to suffer greatly.
Yep. 100%.
So that may be contributed to a little bit of it, plus not being active. I don't think Bird's a mouser, and if you're not a mouser and you're keyboarding, well, it just takes a little bit more for you to get to your skill level, right? You got to.
Yeah.
I mean, mousing is pretty easy, but keyboarding it takes a couple of the games to get that back. Eric can speak more on that, but that's what I think happened. It was the combination of not playing the game, leading, and if that's the first time you've led, and a season, and plus it's with a new group of players, and then all those factors come into play, can lead you to having a bad game.
Yeah, I agree with that. You actually touched up on another oversight of mine. That is Bird's go-to map, right? Chaos 10. Yep. So I find it very, I think so. I find it very likely that he actually led that, which again makes a good point as to why Stavadine was on him the entire match, or when he got caught with Sov flanking through mid and fighting me up north, he was kind of out of position, just trying to hold that angle, and then just dropped. Now, is an excuse for going 0-11 with 0 points? Absolutely not. I don't care how rusty you are. How do you not contribute to a kill? I love Bird, but
yeah, puzzle bastard.
Yeah, following up on that though, is why does Bird take LMG away from your best LMG, aka Kaga?
Yep.
I get that, Kaga's a better Marine than Bird, but if somebody's better at utilizing LMG, that is so important because LMG is such a big burst class, and Kaga on that team is the best LMG. He needs to be playing it.
I agree. We kind of talked about that in the commentary as well. But the other question is, why is BB leading over Dave? Because it's Bird map and he had success in the past, but like Dave's been leading all season, right? So if that is the case, I wonder why that decision would have been made.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either.
Let me see. Do I have any other? Oh yeah, and I had another one. Where is this one? Oh yeah, not the rag on One Love again. Whereas Sav said, being a disappointed father when I was talking about One Love in the match. Does One Love care at all about USL anymore?
I think I kind of said it in the match breakdown. I think Kaga and Jeff do because nobody likes to lose, and they are definitely the top two competitive players on that team, right? Obviously, Season of Discovery, as Josh said, just dropped like last week. They've been really grinding that out, trying to get into the raid, doing that, which is fine. Much, much better games than Infantry. I get it. But then if you knew that going into the season that you weren't going to care, why recruit all these people, put them through this only to not show, not scrim and do all that, right? So
Yeah.
I think there are some people that do and some people that really just don't.
Some of them care, like you said. Obviously Tyson. Everybody that's been showing up consistently for them, which would be Colossal, Danny, Tyson, Typhoon, Stav, Pandy every once in a while. But I think for the most part, those are the guys that kind of care, right? Everyone else, they're just there, hanging out, playing WoW, So, do they necessarily care? No, but I don't think you need to care in order to be competitive. Right? I think you don't have to do a whole lot. Are you going to be able to beat, top squads? Probably not. Unless you just get like a super giga stacked roster somehow. Right?
Yeah.
But you can't depend on, guys like Soul, because he's never going to show up. Right? So, as far as, I'm glad that they're here. I'm glad that Dave, made a squad. If he didn't, who else is going to lead it?
Mhm.
Would we may have had a 4-squad season. I mean, this is 14 players that show up.
Yeah. That's yeah, I heard that rumor going on that some of them might not be playing next season, so
Yeah. So if that's the case, we still need, squad captains. We still need guys that are going to show up and play on Sunday for the rest of us. So I think with that, keep doing what you're doing, David. Hanging out, having a good time, killing some nerds.
Eating pizza.
Yeah, love pizza. Red Baron's OP.
Yeah, dude, fucking love Red Baron. Yeah, I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but it's just kind of deflating, to play in a game like that. So who knows if they're gonna care the rest of the season if they know they're gonna play like that, and if it wasn't Dave leading, like I don't know, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But all right, did you have any other mailbag questions, Eric?
Somebody pointed out what Kippa said on the forums. They said, should One Love have been destroyed by that bad of a lineup?
I think he said that in spec chat too.
He was referencing and I quote, myself, Yosh, a random CTFer, and Pister.
I thought that was your boy.
Kippa?
Yeah.
I like Kippa. We just trash talk each other all the time.
Poor Rev, dude. A random CTF.
Yeah, dude. What are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, it's whatever. I just think that,
I
those
mean,
guys, they didn't show up that week.
the premise I kind of agree with, just because, obviously having Rev and Pisterin isn't your top lineup. So for you guys to win by 40 or whatever with that lineup, I understand. But also, with the way that One Love was leading, I don't think it mattered who you. I think you could have put Mike C, and then you guys probably still would have won because they were just going south every fucking battle. So
let's not talk crazy. All right.
Wu-Tang, is he still on your squad?
No, he's kicked the week.
Damn, bro.
He joined, and then he just vanished. So Nas said he wanted to recruit Mike C at the beginning of the season, so we did that, and then Mike C hasn't showed up at all either. So it's just, all right, we're giving these people opportunity to play with us, and they just vanish. So
are you gonna force remove Mike C off the roster so he doesn't get a ring if you guys win?
I kind of want to, but no.
0 games played. Does Champ lose 3-4 rings? Let me see. I think I had one more. I think it was a Discord PM though. Give me one sec. Where was it? Oh, it's actually about Iron. It was how many wins versus playoff squads would Thugs have without Iron?
Ooh. I think if that's the case, we split. I'll be honest. I think we would be 1-1 against you guys without Iron. We'd probably pull 1-1 against One Love, especially with how they're playing, right? Actually, no, I still think we blank FUP even with Iron not playing. So that's my thought.
That's kind of hard to say, but we as a squad, we've kind of had like this revolving door of people that we have, right? Like people just come in and they're kind of interchangeable. We would have probably just went and picked up the second best med. Does it make? I think it makes a huge difference, but like, where's the gap?
Mm-hmm.
Or does Solve have to play med now and then? Do we have to pick up another Marine? Or there's all kinds of like little scenarios that we don't have to think about because we have Iron.
How many heals does Sav miss leading his med? Too many.
He hasn't missed any on me, so I'm good. So
the only time I've seen Sav miss a heal is when the whole server was super laggy a few weeks back, and he was medding while we were scrimming. Other than that, he's never missed a heal on me.
Yeah. So.
But again, we don't have to worry about that because we got Iron and Fax.
Yeah, true. I kind of agree. Obviously playing with you guys for so many seasons, I don't even remember how many at this point, but I do think that, if Iron's not there, definitely some of the closer games, like maybe the champ game last year, maybe K's crew beats us if we don't have Iron.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know how he played. I don't remember how he played that game, if he played amazing or not, but just having that as an option, and then obviously the negative of him being on the different team too. So
that would never happen. Sav would disconnect his foot pedals, and Iron would no longer move.
I heard that Iron could beat Sav up in real life.
No clue on any of that. No clue.
I didn't have any other mailbag questions, you guys.
Let me just scroll, because I had a few people PM me. I'm just making sure I didn't miss any. Oh, so the other question was if, and it's likely, but if Lowlife Thugs makes the champ game, do we see ESO run it down again?
Who wrote that?
They wish to remain anonymous.
I think Iso's fine. That's all I gotta say. Oh.
Mecca?
I don't think so. I guess it depends on if he's on his laptop or PC. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Oh, I did see another one. That's again related to us. Is Ninja ever going to show up?
No.
No. I think
Yeah,
he's just bored with the game, which again I understand. And he's with us, so there's in his mind no competition, and he's always grinding that Star Wars game, that old Star Wars game. So and making sprites for Tyrael. Yeah, he's still playing that.
Ooh. When are we gonna see Star Wars Zone?
I don't know. I haven't heard any updates, not from Tyrael, not from Sammy. So I think they're still working on it.
Late Q1.
Huh.
So maybe a couple months, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't really heard about it either.
I think they're trying to keep it on the down low, not get too much hype, and then release it and kind of surprise some people. I will say this in that regard to that. I know this is off topic from USL, but hopefully they kind of make those. Tyrael was saying those hero classes would only be one per team. I think that's bogus because people are only going to want to play those classes that we've tested. So they got to find a way to balance that and make it fun, right?
True.
But that's all I got for mailbag.
All right.
Yeah, that's all I got as well. Anything we missed? Anything else you guys want to touch on?
Nah, I think next week when we do playoff predictions, that'll be the one.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one next week.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, boys, let's wrap it up then. That's been another episode of USL Live Season 21 Week 6 predictions.